This was a farm we started renting about 30 years ago and running cattle on. In 2016, we got the opportunity to buy the pasture land and started hopefully improving it and making it more useful and productive for us. If you look around, we had some weed issues that we wanted to deal with. So, through some of the programs and got signed up for EQIP and had some provisions in there to renovate some of these pastures and convert them. One of the challenges when we start thinking about doing the conversion to the novel endophyte fescue is that we had a pretty good stand of fescue on this farm already that was toxic, and it was a big challenge to think about destroying it to come back with something else. So I started hearing about the fescue issues through some meetings and all that I went to. We would notice cattle a lot of times in the pond. The pond here on this place, I would come up here on some mornings that it was relatively cool and some cattle would be standing in the ponds. We saw a few lost tails on some of our heifers that we were keeping. And then when I started going to these meetings, realizing what the issue was. This area that we're standing started out last spring before the old stand of fescue had the opportunity to produce seed heads. We sprayed it, actually burned it with fire, planted a summer annual there, and were able to graze it a couple of times during the summer. Then later on in early fall, we sprayed it again to try to get any fescue that we may have missed the first time. We got this seeded about 2 weeks ago. The following week, put about anywhere from 30 to 50 units of nitrogen and some potash. The soil test told us we were good on phosphorus, so I didn't put any phosphorus on it. We've had some good dreary rainy days on it, so it's probably the best situation we could have had. These winter weeds that you see coming in, they don't appear to be much, but when spring breaks and things begin to grow, they're going to be something that we'll need to deal with at that time. This probably won't be ready to graze until mid-April when it's gotten some height to it, and then when we'll graze it, we'll just graze it lightly, maybe take half, leave half kind of idea. This particular stand, it was I think the 15th of October before I had an opportunity or there was any outlook for any moisture to speak of. They were calling for a pretty good rain coming in. I came up here and seeded it on a Saturday. When we got to late February, it was obvious we had some weeds out here that needed to be controlled. Went ahead and sprayed that, got a little nitrogen on it, and the stand responded well. It really, even getting the late start, it came out good, and we were able to lightly graze it middle of April or so. Obviously wanted to be very careful with how many cows or how tightly we grazed this. Had quite an investment in seed cost and fertilizer and a lot of other things at that time, but also felt like it was important to get the cattle on it to remove some of this stuff and promote some tillering and so forth. So they were on here maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the course as needed, and kind of maintain that graze half, take half mentality with doing that. It's pretty thick here now. Got a lot of residue underneath. By grazing it, I think we promoted some growth. We obviously filled in our drill rows very nicely with the management that this has had over the last year. A lot of residue down under here, and I think that has to do with the grazing, the cattle grazing it, but not grazing it too close. Yeah, I think there are a lot of options here. Obviously, my major goal was to have a place to put these preconditioned calves, but periodically can graze it in the spring with the cow herd, or later stockpile for winter grazing. lot of opportunities and ways you could go with this that certainly make it worthwhile. I went to the one-day class with the novel Fescue Grasslands Alliance. A lot of information presented in that one-day setting, but it kind of got, for me, it got the wheels to turning. There was so much information. I think that having somebody to kind of walk me through the process really helped too, especially with my limitations and agronomy and that type stuff. So working through NRCS to have a complete plan to get this done. The fescue conversion is just a small part of the total EQIP plan that I'm involved with. Learned a few things along the way, and hopefully it will do well for us into the future.